Guys, welcome to Dev Domain. In today's video we are going to learn about multitasking in Java. So let's start. Multitasking refers to the ability of an operating system or programming environment to execute multiple tasks concurrently. Multitasking is a process, of executing multiple tasks simultaneously. In Java, multitasking can be achieved through two main approaches. First, that is process-based multitasking, and second, thread-based multitasking. First, we will see process-based multitasking. So, it involves running multiple processes, that is nothing but the application, simultaneously. Each process has its own memory, space, and resources. Process-based multitasking is a simultaneous process, to execute multiple tasks, and each process has its own memory and resources as well. Let's take an example. Suppose we have two programs. In one program there are 10 songs and it will execute one by one, and in second program there are some MS Office files. The CPU can be processed one song from the first program only, and in the second program only one software can be executed, whether it can be Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Excel. Any one file can be used, and from the first program, out of 10 songs only one song can be played by the CPU. So this is the example of the process based multitasking, and this program 1 and program 2 are independent. So they are not dependent on each other, and process 1 has some its memory and as well as resources. So it has 10 songs, and to store 10 songs it requires some space as well. And from the program 2, obviously we required memory and the resources to store the Microsoft Office software's files. So it also requires its own memory and resources. Now let's see some characteristics for the process based multitasking. First is heavyweight. So that is, processes are independent and do not share memory. So as I have discussed in the example, the processes are independent on each other and they do not share memory to each other. Second point, more secure as processes are isolated. So that means process based multitasking is the more secure because processes are isolated. Third point, higher overhead for inter-process communication. So that is IPC. The overhead is high. And then next point, process-based multitasking is managed by the operating system. So the operating system like Microsoft Windows, then Mac, Linux, etc. Thread-based multitasking. So this is the important topic. So thread-based multitasking involves running multiple threads within the same process. So we have one task, one process, and within that process we execute multiple threads within the same process itself. threads share the same memory space and resources of the parent process. So, thread shares the same memory space and the resources of the parent process itself, because it is executing the multiple threads within the same process. So that's why the thread shares the memory as well as resources. Let's take an example for the thread based multitasking. So suppose we have 100 lines of code. The time required to execute that 100 lines of code, let's say 10 minutes. If we divide the 100 lines of code into threads, let's say T1 and T2, so the program will divide from the between, okay, and T1 will be executed till 50 and simultaneously T2 also execute from 51 to 100. After dividing the tasks into threads, so the time required to execute the 100 lines of code will be 5 minutes. Okay, the time of execution of a program will be less. So now let's see the characteristics of the thread based multitasking. It is lightweight compared to processes. So compared to process based multitasking, thread based multitasking is a lightweight and process based multitasking is a heavyweight. Next, threads share the same memory space. So that is, the threads share the same memory space, and in process based, each process have its own memory space as well as resources. But in the thread base, it shares the same memory space, because in thread base there is only one program, and within the program we break the program into threads. Next is lower overhead for communication between threads. So in thread based multitasking, there is lower overhead for the communication between threads. Then the thread based multitasking is managed by the JVM, that is Java Virtual Machine. See, when we use thread based multitasking and when we use process based multitasking. So process based multitasking is used when you need complete isolation between two tasks. So if you need complete isolation, complete security between two tasks, so then we use the process based multitasking. Obviously, next is security is major concern. Here in process based, the security is very much heavier than the thread based, and tasks are resource intensive and independent. So that means each process should have some data as well as memory, and each process should be independent. So now let's see when we use thread based multitasking. Tasks need to share the data frequently. So suppose we have to share the data frequently, then we use the thread based multitasking. You want a lightweight concurrency, so that concurrency means we have to do multitasking. Okay, so concurrency means we have to execute two or more programs simultaneously. So if you want that lightweight, then we can use the thread based multitasking. Then tasks are input output bonded, can be benefit for concurrent execution. Each task have a limit. Okay, there is a limit for input and output, and it can be beneficial for the parallel execution. This is all about the multitasking, and in that we have seen process based multitasking and thread based multitasking. So thank you for watching this video.